honestly, I think with my eating, with my binge eating background, one of the biggest excuses I continue to make was like, I deserve this. You know, that was when I was still definitely in the mindset of like, oh, I was disciplined.
I did so good. Yeah.
What is up, cousins? Welcome back. Strong, well-fed, outspoken. If you are following along, you might have caught Nell giving me the actual like
Action.
We are we're always pumped to see you guys as always, but for anybody that's watching along, I gotta throw this out. Nell's wearing the old school merch.
Yeah, I got that OG. So if you're watching online, if you're watching us and not just listening, I got that old school take chances, make mistakes, get jacked, which ties into the podcast because we're strong.
Yeah, totally. Actually, speaking of, so that's a tank top that I don't actually offer anymore, but I am actually currently in the midst of like creating new merch, which I'm honestly pumped about. But this topic of tank tops, so I have a lot of tank tops and I'm like, man, these take up so many hangers in my closet. So I was on Shein not too long ago and I haven't been on Shein in a hot minute because if you know, it is.
I've never, because I feel like it's a slippery slope.
Oh my gosh. It is such, I literally haven't ordered from Shein for over like a year. And then my mom like discovered Shein in the last year and like every week she like gets, not like a full thing, but like she buys something new and she's gotten like some great outfits. And I said to her, I'm like, man, Shein looks like they really stepped up their quality. I needed some new clothes. With being in the health phase, some of my stuff is tight. I'm like, we're not about that life. So, okay, confession time. I was just like, having fun.
Tell me all your sins, sister.
I was just having fun. I'm like, yeah, that's cute, right? I'm like, I'll add it to the cart and go through it later. Tell me how my cart added up to like $1,000.
It happens so fast. It really does.
But Shein is like, the thing is, like some of their prices have definitely gone up, but most of their stuff is like $10 to like $15. Yeah. So I'm like, how am I at this level of insanity? I did not spend $1,000. Let me just say I did go through my cart, but they also have like cute home decor things. And so they had like a hanger that had basically, if you're not watching, it'll be hard for you to see what I'm doing with my hands, but they had like mini hangers attached to one giant hanger.
Oh, like almost rows of hangers.
Yes, with like the things on the end. So then you could just put all your tank tops. It holds like 10 tank tops on one. I literally just put mine together today and I was like, what? This is awesome. So I love
Girl,
a good
get on my level. We don't fold. We just bin things.
Yeah, true. Fair.
But sometimes I need that visual, like, oh yeah, that would look great today. Because if you guys have seen our Instagrams or you guys know us at all, like the fits are colorful. The shorts and the shirt and the shoes are matching, right? Like that's pretty on brand for both of us.
Yeah, absolutely on brand. So yeah, no, I love a good like house hack that makes me feel like a minimalist when I'm not. So yeah, anyways, sorry if you guys can hear the garbage truck.
Oh, well, that's just real life.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I had to shovel food into my mouth before we started because I was just vibing, listening to the birds. I'm like, what a beautiful day. Oh, you got to go, girl.
11 o'clock. It's time to record. So, you guys, what are we talking about today?
Oh, that's a great question. Today we're going to talk about like accountability, what it is, how to hold yourself accountable to yourself with or without a coach. We're going to primarily talk about it probably from a fitness and nutrition aspect because, hey, hello, that's what we do.
Yeah.
But I think accountability, a lot of people get wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you've probably said this. I need accountability.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me ask you something first. And I want you guys to all think about this in the car too. When you literally hear the word accountability, like what sensation rises in your body?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think for me,
like
it's very peaceful now, but that's because I work in this industry, right?
That's good. No, see, even still for me, when I hear the term accountability, I'm like, oh, what did I do wrong? Who do I have to be accountable to?
Right. Or like I'm getting hauled into HR.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I find that like accountability, I feel, I guess it really depends on my mindset, but I feel like for me, it goes two ways. Like either one, I am like, like there's a little bit of like tightness, like, I got to either do something differently or call even myself out. Or there is a sense of empowerment. Like, yes, I'm going to be accountable to this. Like I'm making a decisive action, like I'm making a decisive choice, and now I'm going to be accountable. And in that case, I feel empowered.
Yes, I think for me, it stems from a lot of this, like, I'll just do whatever someone's told me. If I've hurt someone,
Mhm.
I'll take the blame, even if it was unintentional on my part. And now I feel like I'm better at owning it, right? Like I'm not going to back down if I genuinely feel that that was not the intent, or that
Yeah.
that is what the intention was. Because sometimes like, oh yeah, I didn't mean it. Actually, I did. I
Yeah.
did mean it. What I said was factual, and you needed to hear it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was a hard thing for me to learn as a coach.
Yeah, and that's that's a very good point because accountability is not always soft. In fact, I think
Mhm.
it's rarely soft.
Yeah,
Um,
even by definition, there's no softness in it. It's
no,
actually very firm in what it means, right?
yep, yep. And if you resonate at all with like what I said with that aspect of like fear, or even
Mhm.
what Nell said, right, in regards to like being on the other end of the person that's like, no, you know what, I'm not actually sorry. It needed to be said, but you're the one hearing it. You still know that sense of fear that comes from accountability, and I think a lot of people do think about accountability in terms of somebody like yelling at them or
Right.
checking their food log or just like making them feel guilty.
Well, and I
But
think a lot of people almost view accountability as having someone in charge of them, or,
Mhm.
putting someone in, I'm going to use the babysitter role, right? And
Yeah,
that's not what accountability is,
no,
because it puts the onus on someone else.
exactly. Yeah. Accountability. Okay. So, first of all, literally, the truth of accountability is it is simply reducing the gap between what you said you were going to do and what you actually did.
Yeah, accepting your actions with an answer, and it has to be explainable, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times that gets missed. We can't explain our actions, or we can't answer to our actions, but the
Yeah.
actions have already happened, right?
Oh yeah. And this is why a lot of people do hire a coach because, coaches can be super valuable. They create systems that most people don't naturally create for themselves. But what we want to challenge you guys on is the idea that accountability has to come from a coach,
Hmm.
right? So think about it like this. Okay. Have you ever said to yourself, like, tomorrow I'll start?
Oh,
Or,
I was
right?
the queen of I'll wait till Monday, or I'll wait till the first of the month. I still catch myself going, "Oh, I'll just catch it." No.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I do it all the time, all the
All the
time.
time. Tomorrow I'll start. Monday I'll be better. Next
After the
week,
weekend.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get back on track. And then like next week literally looks exactly like this week. A lot of people chalk that up to being like a motivation problem. Bitch, it's not. It's an accountability problem. That
And
is
we've talked
exactly
about motivation. That doesn't even factor in my world most of the time.
no, 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 no. No, no, no.
If I
So
was waiting for motivation, we wouldn't even have a podcast.
yeah, oh my goodness, me too. Me
I'm like, oh,
too.
I can't do it this week, girl.
Yeah. So we kind of want to tell you guys a little bit about how, we've held ourselves accountable over the years. Again, like what accountability actually means, and just give you guys a practical sense or practical ways to create accountability, even if you're not working with a coach.
Hmm.
Because whether you're working with a coach now or not, you're going to end up in a position at some point in your life where it is up to you, and that is really really powerful when you can show up for yourself from the position of I am the one holding myself accountable.
Yeah, because where a coach would factor in is helping you have the conversations, is
Yeah.
helping you find the ways to hold a standard for yourself. You
Yeah,
still have to do those things, right?
totally.
I don't know how many times I've had people say, "Well, I wish you just follow me around and slap food out of my hand,"
Yeah, yeah,
right?
like
Can't
okay.
do it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like I would if you paid me big money. And like please live somewhere cool, but
Yeah, like warm, perhaps.
yeah, but truthfully, even that, right? Like I wish you would just follow me around and slap food in my hand out of my hand. It's kind of like it's not punishment, but it is kind of that sense of punishment, right?
It
Like I
truly
want
is.
somebody there like laying down the law for me.
Yeah, there's almost that like negative connotation to it, and
Yeah,
accountability isn't negative,
it's not that.
right?
No, accountability, truly, you guys, in like the true sense of the form, accountability means awareness.
Hmm.
Okay. Because you cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. So the moment you stop measuring, you stop tracking, you stop reflecting, you stop checking in even with yourself, your brain starts negotiating
Hmm.
automatically.
And it's not just a matter of like that reflecting and checking in, it's actionable forward, right?
Yeah.
Can you explain what happened? Can you reflect on what happened? And
Totally.
then what are you answering to? How are you moving forward from that?
Yeah. 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 I think what's really cool is that, not really cool, but what's really interesting is that when it comes to accountability, most people actually only hold themselves accountable to outcomes, right?
That's
The,
very true.
the scale, your weight, your progress photos, your clothing size. But what's crazy about that is you don't control those directly. You
Not at
control
all.
your
Really?
behaviors, right? That is
Yeah.
true. You control your behaviors that influence those things. So instead of asking yourself, did I lose weight? Ask yourself, did I follow through? Did I
Mhm.
walk? Did I eat protein? Did I drink water? Did I keep my promise to myself? Did I follow through? That is what the accountability actually is at the end of the day, not the result that occurred because you followed through.
Mhm. No, that's a really, really good point because I think, even I'm guilty of looking at a metric and not how I got to that metric, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it is. People say, "Oh, I want to intuitively eat," or "I don't want to track macros," and I'll say, "Okay, how are you going to make sure that you're still reflecting and holding yourself to some kind of measurement, right?" And
Yeah.
it's those things along the way. It's not down the road that is the accountability. No one's
Yeah.
accountable in the future. You can't be.
Mhm. Like when you think back, fitness related or not, because accountability can be applied to any aspect of your
Any
life,
facet of your life.
right? You want a better relationship with God, you want to improve your spending, you want to save more money, you want to just be a calmer person with better boundaries, you need to be accountable to something.
Yeah, a
So,
better
like,
friend, a better partner, just
yep,
more confident in your life. All of those require accountability, right?
totally. So, like, for you, thinking back over the years, is there anything that, like, you can recall that you've tracked or you've measured, again, like anytime in the last, however many years, that actually had nothing to do with an outcome, like scale or weight or photos, but still help kept you accountable?
Yeah, I think one thing that I tracked for a long time was gratitude. Um,
I
and
love
it
that.
it took me a while to figure out how to track it because when I was a kid, I grew up in a religious home, and my family always like ended the day as in like group story time, nighttime prayer, things like that. And one of the things we always did was, what we were thankful for, and we, thank God for that. And whatever your religious belief is now, it still transfers. But after a while, I was no longer going to church, and I thought, like, how do I still bring that in
Mhm,
without that religious aspect of it?
mhm,
This was many years. So it got to the point where I had to write, I just wrote three things down every single day that I was grateful for. And that's
mhm.
how I actually started my day instead of ending my day. And I did
Yeah.
that for years. And it started with a little bit of a template, and
Mhm,
then it got more comfortable, more routine for me. And so then I started creating my own. But
mhm.
it was hard when I started.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I know I really like the aspect of the gratitude accountability check, even in and of itself. I think it's a really easy thing that we can do, and it's a really like big thing that grounds us.
Yeah,
But
because
like,
even we start our check-ins with clients is like, what are you proud of? What are you thankful for? What was a good thing this week? Because it really
totally.
does set the tone for so many things.
Yeah, 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 yeah. As you were doing that, like, and just as time went on, can you look back and identify that there was a moment where you're like, wow, this is actually like easier now? Like, this is who
Oh,
I am? Yeah.
absolutely. I think the first month I would just sit there and kind of stare at the page. And so I
Mm.
actually ended up looking up like gratitude prompts.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah.
so for a while it was like three things with technology that you're thankful for, or
Mhm.
three people you're thankful for, things like that. So it's very specific. And after about that first month, I was like, oh, 17 items later, like just get on with your day, right?
Yeah.
And it went from like, I don't know what to be thankful for to like, here are the tiny little details that I was neglecting, right?
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
just thankful that the sun is shining today. I'm thankful that I slept for an extra 5 minutes, and it got so much easier
Yeah.
just having committed that time and energy to doing it consistently.
Yeah. 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 It
Because
is
even
crazy.
now, if I don't write it down, I still have that practice now, right?
Yes,
Because
because it's who
it
you are.
it can change. Your levels of effort can change, but the habit that you used accountability to build doesn't necessarily have to change.
Totally. Yep. I know for me, like thinking back, one of the biggest ways that I held myself accountable was, I know I talked about this in a previous episode, but was using a calendar, like throwback to like
Yes.
when I actually had a handwritten calendar, like at a, like I don't mean like the little daily journals, like the pocketbook calendars. I had like the actual wall calendar. My mom would get me one for
Hmm.
like Christmas. Be like, I think I had a lot of cat ones, but then I started to feel ripped off as
Shout
I
out to
got
Calendar
older.
Club.
Yeah, but no, my mom, I used to notice she would get like the free calendars when she would donate to places, and then she would give me that for Christmas.
I'm
I'm like,
sad
"Mom,
free calendars don't exist anymore.
anymore?" They do, according to my mom. Every year she's like, "Do you want a calendar?" I'm like, "No, mom, I
Girl,
don't."
she got to give me the hookups.
Yeah, I'll mail it to you. Like I know somebody
Perfect. But no, really, a
it's
calendar and using that. So let's talk
yeah.
about how you use that.
Yeah, I used to, and this was back when I was like running. I would just check off literally each day that I did it. I would set a goal at the beginning of the week. I can't remember if I would write that goal down or not, but I'd set a goal at the beginning of the week, and really it was at one point it was just to see how many checks I could get, right? Like in a week, because I would literally put a check or an X or whatever you want to do every single day that I went for a run. And then, I mean, when I was in the phase of like doing, 1,000 crunches a day or whatever, please don't do that. I would like also write an
Yeah.
A because I did my abs that day, right? But
Ah,
although
yes.
yeah, although the like maybe what I was doing, like 1,000 crunches or hundreds of crunches a day, was not practical. The point was I was holding myself accountable to something that had nothing to do with my weight, that had nothing to do with photos, but would wind up influencing those things from the act of me just being accountable. And it was really super satisfying. I mean, if you're anybody who keeps a checklist and you like crossing it off, it's the same idea, right? So
Mhm.
that was
Yeah,
something,
and a tangible action to
yeah.
take you to a goal, right? That's really what accountability needs to look like.
Totally. And that was just one strategy that I remember using. But I think strategies are really where like, we could talk until we're blue in the face, you guys, but until you have an actual strategy that works, nothing likely is going to change. So a couple of ideas that I even wrote down for you guys to consider doing, and it kind of plays into, I mean, one, sure, you could do the calendar thing, but what you said, Nell, in regards to like the daily gratitude, right? And so, I can't recall, did you used to do that in the morning or at night or anytime?
So morning. I started
Morning.
incorporating that in
Okay.
my morning routine because my
Cool.
morning routine sucked.
Yeah. And you talk about now how you have like a morning routine you really hold tightly to.
Yeah, like I was a big night owl for a long time. And then I started working insane. Well, if you're a personal trainer and you've worked in person, you probably know those days start hella early
Oh my gosh.
sometimes.
Do not miss
Right?
them. Do not miss them.
And so that was really bad for my health. I was struggling. I could feel that I was struggling, high blood pressure, all that good stuff. So part of that was like, I need to hold myself accountable to something that is going to improve those health metrics, right? Lower my blood pressure, not raise it. And so
Yeah.
I shift that practice to the morning when
Gotcha.
I stopped working at 4 a.m.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotcha, gotcha.
You got to be realistic because I've worked with a lot of clients and stuff and they go, I want to wake up 15 minutes earlier and I want to do sunshine yoga and I want to do
Yeah.
this and then I'm going to do this. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're already sleeping through your alarms.
Yep.
Let's not put everything at that time, right? So when you're finding ways to be accountable to yourself, make sure that they're logical. Because I
Yeah.
can tell you right now, I don't want to read 10 pages of self-improvement before bed. That's just not going to happen for me. That
Yeah.
may be a great way for someone else to be accountable to something they're working on,
Mhm.
not for me.
No, I think you bring up a good point, and it's one of the things that I wanted to talk about was daily non-negotiables,
Mhm.
right? And I think we all understand that concept, but the problem is, as you even just said, a lot of people will be like, "I want to do this and I want to do that," and their list is 10 plus items long. Baby, you ain't ever gonna stick to this
I'll
list.
tell you what's happening. Suddenly you're negotiating them out.
Yeah, yeah. What you're only going to wind up doing
Yeah,
in terms of a habit is looking at the list every day, being like, "Oh, I didn't get this done." You know what that
I
habit
failed.
turns like? Yeah, it turns into you talking badly about yourself, feeling like trash, and then never wanting to do it again.
Truly.
So, a big thing I actually say to clients when, you know, we do a check-in and or they just message me throughout the week, right? And they're like, my week has turned into a stress bomb. I feel like I'm not able to keep up with everything that I need to do and I have to be doing, and the things like, I'm trying to check off for our check-ins here.
Yeah, because sometimes we ask you to accomplish things as coaches, right? That's part of
Absolutely.
how we offer that
Yep.
sense of accountability, but sometimes it just doesn't work.
Exactly. So what I say to them is I want you to pick three non-negotiables for the week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not 10, three. And usually, like, we will base it off of something that is physical, something that is nutritional. And then I always say, I want you to pick a bonus. And the idea
Mm-hmm.
here is the bonus is more about what is something that actually like resonates with you in terms of a standard for yourself. So a standard being something I'm going to be proud to say at the end of the day I did, but also have me feeling good, not just like it's another task.
Mm.
So, maybe they choose that week, okay, like I am from a food perspective, I'm making sure to hit my protein and fiber, or I'm making sure to just keep having 3 meals a day, or I can't hit my macros, but I'm going to be hitting my calories. But that's one, right? The movement, maybe it's like, okay, I'm going to aim for 2 workouts this week, or you know what, I can get into the gym, but I don't think I can get it done. So I'm going to set an alarm for 45 minutes. When the alarm goes off, it's done, which is crazy motivating in and of itself. Maybe it's just, I'm going to make sure I'm hitting my daily steps each day. But the point is, we're keeping a movement form and a nutrition form of accountability. That bonus one for people, maybe it is still even another movement aspect. Maybe it's going for a walk after every meal, or, making sure my water is consumed for the day. For other people, it literally looks like taking 10 minutes for themselves
Yeah,
to
it's more of
breathe,
that
no
connection
interruptions.
piece or recovery or something like that.
Yep. But when you set non negotiables, you all of a sudden take something that maybe feels overwhelming or like it's too much all at once right now, and you make it doable in the moment. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot easier to be accountable to yourself because, again, remember, accountability is not at the end of the week being like, yeah, I was accountable to the fact that I lost a pound. It's being able to say, I was accountable to the fact that I did what I needed to do in order to get to that pound down.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned one of those like non-negotiables that you set with clients always being nutrition.
Mhm.
What are some of the ways you kind of hold your own self accountable to nutrition when you're not specifically working with a coach? Because I know like you and I have done macros, we've done probably assorted meal plans, things like that. What do you
Yeah.
find is the most realistic for you as a human?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of holding myself accountable, see, at this point in my journey, it's less about, especially with what I'm working on right now, it's less about, what will my scale say or what will my photos look like. For me, a lot of my accountability is coming from like checking in with my future self.
Mm.
So, before I make a choice, before I let my emotions kind of, build up and convince me to do something, I tend to think about, will tomorrow's version of me thank me for this, right? Like, how can I actually set myself up for success tomorrow based off the way I show up today? It forces that pause between like impulse and action, right? And I will say, of course, like now I'm very, like things are very second nature to me. So, I want to be honest with you guys. It's not like I'm like struggling to like not eat chocolate during the day or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it
Yeah.
is. And I need to think about my future self. But even in the aspect of the health phase I'm in, it's like, do I want to veer off and have some gluten right now? You know what I mean? Like that's what it looks like for me. And it's like, or do I want to get through these 12 weeks? Do I want to get 6 months down the road and see how much better my thyroid is and see how much better and more resilient and stronger my body is? It's still that same crossover, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense, of thinking about your future self from just the context of what the struggle is now.
Yeah, because it's no different than like I remember early on in my journey, one way I was holding myself accountable was to have a number of times I was going to be eating out because
Mhm,
I
mhm.
I ordered takeout multiple times a day. I would drive through multiple times a day. And
Yeah.
so I would pick a number based on the previous week and reduce it slightly because I was obviously trying to lose and improve things that way.
Mhm.
But that's how I was holding myself accountable. So if someone said to me like, "Hey, do you want to go do this?" At that point, I would say, "No, I've already met my quota for the week." But
Yep.
and this is the same thing. It was a goal not to say no all the time. The goal was to go, how is this going to impact me next week or 2 weeks from now or even tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
And so when you're looking at accountability, especially when it comes to food, what are you trying to accomplish is a good question to ask too, right? Like,
Yeah.
should I eat gluten right now? Probably not, right? Because
Yeah.
what you're trying to accomplish, that's not going to get you there.
Yeah. It's kind of giving yourself a debrief.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Like,
I,
would you have that conversation with your coach? I would, right? And so I think that's a good indicator if you're not sure,
yes.
if you're kind of navigating this on your own, would
Mhm.
this be a question you would bring up?
Yeah, definitely. I actually, one of the tips I wanted to share with you guys was the concept of a debrief and how beneficial that can be. Brain dumping is something that, like, I think is getting more traction, which is really
Mhm.
cool. It's something we talk about a lot with clients. Going before going to bed, like literally just pen and paper, writing out everything on your mind, whether it's things you want to, like literally your to do list for tomorrow. So you don't carry that in your brain while you sleep. It's frustrations, it's wins, it's everything, no judgment. But I think doing this from a debrief perspective while you're trying to work on accountability can be massively beneficial. Looking at back at your day and asking yourself, like, what genuinely did I do well today? And also, what genuinely could I improve on? There's no judgment that needs to be a part of this. There's no punishment that needs to be a part of this. It is literally just facts. It's just data. And again, you cannot be accountable without self awareness. And this creates self awareness. It's one thing to know, like, I could have done better today, but if you're not pinpointing how, you're never going to actually improve on it.
Yeah, because a debrief, I mean, I've worked with a lot of first responders, have been in emergency situations. A debrief is not, how could you have done this better? It's what happened, how
Yeah.
did you navigate it, and what's going to change if it ever comes up again?
Yes, exactly. And again, without having that reflection, without having that awareness, without having that time to debrief, you're never going to have the answers to those questions. And even in that, right, the debrief is allowing you to then see, okay, this is what my future self actually looks like on a successful day. Because it's
Mhm.
also really hard to imagine what your future self will look like if you don't understand who your future self is and what they do and what a day in the life of them would literally be.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, yeah, that's an amazing point to make, right? Because I think so often we get lost in it just feels overwhelming to start this process, right? It's like,
definitely.
oh, I said I have to debrief and I have to write all these things down. It's really not what it's about. It's about going, hey, what happened? How did I handle it? And am I delighted that that's the outcome or not?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And one thing I want to add on to that is, okay, so you're debriefing. You went over what went well today, what could I improve on? Okay, now what I want you guys to do is make a plan. Okay, not a promise, a plan. And on one hand, I love the idea of making promises to yourself if you keep them, baby.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I'm sure someone's made a promise to you and then broken it, and it feels like garbage, and you're carrying that with you your whole life.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't
And
be the person doing that to yourself.
to yourself, yes, we've talked about this before, right? If if you're in a position where you're making promises to yourself and you're not keeping them, you are not going to ever increase the trust that you have for yourself. So
Mhm.
I don't want you to actually make a promise to yourself. I want you to make a plan for yourself, to yourself. And the only promise you need to make is that you will actually try. That's it.
Mhm.
Okay. So when you are debriefing at the end of the day, here's what I want you to do next. I want you to now think about tomorrow. So we're debriefing, we're involving our future self, and we're making a plan for the next day. Tomorrow, I plan to do blank. Maybe now
Mhm.
you involve your three non negotiables. Go for a walk, drink 2 liters of water. That's not enough. Drink more than that, please. um, you know, eat vegetables 2 times. Um, you are not making a promise to yourself. You are making a plan, but you are promising yourself that you are going to show up for that plan and actually try hard. And now, let me say one other thing. If you really want to take this next level, if you really want to push your plans, your promises, everything to the next level, I want you to actually voice note this to yourself.
True.
Okay. Taking a voice note, actually recording your voice the night before of what is my plan for tomorrow? What am I going to improve on? What are my three non-negotiables? What works? What has been working? What hasn't been working? How do I feel? It is so much more powerful because hearing yourself actually creates way more ownership than you realize.
Mhm. And the more we
It's,
hear something, the more we believe it. And so
yeah.
you're not just like visually seeing what you wrote down, you're hearing it. There's that audio visual like aspect of it. It becomes a little bit more tactile and real, right?
Yeah, yeah. And here's what's really cool is if you recorded that the night before, now in the next morning, when you're like thinking about everything you have to do and you maybe don't have time to do a gratitude or a reflection on what you did the night before, you just play it. You play it while you're getting ready. You play it in the car while you're driving to work. It's like you have already manifested who it is you want to be that day. And now all you're doing is reminding yourself about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then the next day you reflect, you keep doing that. And I
builds.
think that's right. Because like for a long time, I was like in the gym. That was my thing. I'm doing a workout. It was in my non-negotiable. And then it got really difficult to get to the gym. I'm at the point now where temperature, air quality changes make me gag. And then when I gag, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe I'll throw up, maybe I'll pee my pants. So the workout is still the non-negotiable for me. But the like going to the gym, putting time in there is no longer feasible. So you guys can't see this because I have a chair in my office. But right behind me is a set of 25-pound dumbbells. And my workout is now every time I get up from my desk, I am doing, and I've got my little like post-it note of like what I'm doing. But basically every time I get up from my office, I'm doing squats or I'm doing shoulder press or whatever. And then I'm going and I'm coming back. So every time I leave my office, it's not glamorous.
Yeah.
It's not me in the gym lifting heavy, just like showing off the bump, feeling amazing, but it's still happening. And the only way I got there was to reflect and reevaluate and come up with how am I going to still make this happen with what I'm doing right now, with how I feel right now. Because how you feel factors in. We always think about, oh, I want to feel this way. I want to accomplish these things, but how are you right now? Because that's a huge factor that a lot of people don't bring into their accountability.
Yeah, yeah. And how you feel. Again, feelings are fickle, but still how you feel, right? We've talked about this before. You can still feel a certain way and choose to act another. Now, maybe you're not going to force yourself to go to the gym because of how you're feeling, especially like in Nell's case. But you can say, all right, I don't feel like going to the gym, but my non-negotiable was movement. So I'm being accountable to myself by, you got those dumbbells there. Mm-hmm. We're making something else happen.
And I think like feelings, I kind of separate into two categories, right? Like there's that emotional, I do or I don't want to. And then there's that physical, right? Yeah. I feel like I'm going to throw up in public. Right? Not like I don't want to go to the gym because I don't want to be sick in front of people. I'll be sick in front of people. I have no boundaries, okay? But that it's like that physical sensation, right? My shoulder hurts versus I think if I do this, I might have sore muscles, right? Kind of separating the emotional piece of it or the how we think about it versus what is physically the sensation of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that right there in and of itself, like, it's a huge reason why people avoid accountability, right? Because it requires honesty. Like, you have to be willing to be honest, which is why working with a coach can force you to be that. Because, like, even for us, right? Like, most coaches, hopefully good coaches, are, you know, doing weekly check-ins. And for sure, biofeedback matters. Sleep, stress, digestion matters. For us, our check-ins are way more mental and emotional than that because accountability requires honesty. Anyone can talk about how their digestion or their sleep was. I want to know what your roadblock is each week. I want to know where you're choosing comfort over alignment each and every week, because that honesty is going to tell us so much more. Honesty, yes, is uncomfortable. And I think a lot of people avoid accountability, not because they're lazy. They avoid it because of truthfully what they're afraid they'll discover.
Hugely so. Do you know how much of a kick to my ego getting to this point was? Like, I feel like such a massive hypocrite because I coach people. That's what I do. Fitness is, whether I want it to be or not, part of my identity, right? And so to get to a point where like I'm not showing up in the gym, soul crushing. I lied to myself for so long.
Yeah, but it's true, man.
Right? You have to be honest.
Yeah. And like when we're not honest with ourselves, when we're not accountable to ourselves or to anyone, it's usually because we're afraid of what we're going to discover.
Yes, afraid of judgment or afraid of maybe finding something in ourselves we don't want to work on, we
Yeah.
don't like about ourselves, we deny
Yeah,
it.
or something that we thought we had overcome, but it's like, hey,
Oh,
hi, hello, I'm still self-sabotaging with this. I'm still stuck in my old habit. But
yes.
again,
Do you know how similar this feels to me 5 years ago? I
oh,
know it's not, and I keep having that conversation, but
me
it
too.
feels awfully close.
Yeah, I totally feel you with where I'm at on that. And again, this is why we want to drive home awareness is not failure. It's where change starts.
Mhm.
Truthfully. It's funny you say 5 years ago, right? Like, do you remember an excuse you used to tell yourself back in the day that was like your prime excuse that you
Ooh.
repeatedly have to like get over in order to like, build your journey up?
That's tough because I feel like I was really good at making excuses. Like you need an
Okay,
excuse, I'll
tell
give
it,
you one.
tell
I'll
it.
fabricate one.
Yeah.
But one, I guess one that feels very similar to now is fatigue.
Mm,
Right? I'm measuring my sleep. I'm going to bed at like 8, 9 p.m. and I'm waking up dead tired at like almost 7 o'clock. Like I'm just not getting quality sleep right now. I
yeah.
know I'm not getting quality sleep right now, but back then I was choosing that life. I was
Mm,
staying up till midnight doing whatever the heck I wanted, and I would like sort of crawl out of bed, be like, "Oh, I'm gonna work out today," and then I'd be
yeah.
like, "I'll just sleep in." Sleep's so important; it's part of the recovery process.
That's amazing. I love
So
that.
that's probably the one that feels the closest right now. But the difference is like now I'm putting the effort in to get that quality sleep, and I am dealing with fatigue. It's hard growing a human. I'm not gonna lie to any of you,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can
right? But I know that that's not the excuse
for sure.
because it's not something that I am saying like, oh, I'll just I'm too tired for that, which
Yeah.
is 100% what it used to be.
Yeah, that's interesting how it did kind of come like full circle.
Almost full circle, yeah.
Yeah, I can totally understand as well why you're like, oh, this is reminding me of where I used to be.
Yeah, even today, Rusty asked in like our group chat with everyone we work with, like, what are your roadblocks? I'm like, my roadblock really feels like sleep right now.
Yeah, I actually I didn't see the last messages before we hopped on, but I did you
Yeah, I
say
just muted the
pavement?
chat so they weren't popping up while we were on
Oh, okay,
it.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
not sure.
I swear I thought you said pavement or something like that.
Oh, what? Yeah. So I actually taught 108 sun salutations on the summer solstice. This is like a common thing to do in the yoga community.
Yeah.
One of our girls also was doing 108 sun salutations, but they did it in like a parking lot or something.
Oh
So
my
she was
goodness.
doing it on pavement. She was saying like, I'm really hurting today.
Yeah, I can only imagine. That's wild.
But this is where
Um,
accountability is important, right? Because she made accountability to herself on when she was working out. And now the feelings, the sensations in her body are kind of working against her, but she's still not using that as an excuse. She's reflecting and working to like, how am I going to make this goal still happen?
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, no, that's really cool. Again, it's meeting yourself where you're at, how she
Exactly.
feels and what she's doing. I remember, honestly, I think with my eating, with my binge eating background, one of the biggest excuses I continued to make was like, I deserve this.
Mm,
That was when I was still definitely in the mindset of like, oh, I was disciplined,
I did
using
so
air quotes.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, all week. Like I deserve this, I earned this. And it's like, hey, this I deserve only actually turned into binging. And then what it kept telling me was somewhere inside, like, you deserve to always be overweight. You deserve
Yeah.
to always be out of control around food,
And
right?
I
Like
like what you
that's
said
what I
about
was telling
deserve,
myself.
right? I deserve to sleep in. If we're putting that
Mhm.
in, it's usually an indicator this might be worth looking at.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. And it's funny because I still hear that come up like with my family, right? Like, oh, but you work so hard and like you're so disciplined. Like you can just
Just
like
one
no,
bite.
no, yeah, that doesn't work anymore. And
Mhm.
it takes a while though. Like we can ask each other these questions now, although a lot of the time we don't plan these questions. They
No,
just
not at all.
um
You'll notice this when one of us says something, we're like, actually, this is what we're going to talk about also.
yeah, yeah. Did you ever watch? I think every once in a while we're like, oh, like our eyes are like, okay, we're going for it. But we can answer these questions now, not because we've been doing this for years, but because we have had self accountabilities for years. We've asked ourselves these questions in private. We've worked with coaches. Nell worked even with me for a while,
Mhm.
where I asked her these questions. Coaches I've worked with have asked me these questions. They're powerful. So some questions that I think you guys can maybe think about asking yourselves, not maybe, do it.
You should. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Unless you're
It's,
like, we hate this episode. We don't want to do anything with it.
yeah, and come back next week.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, if you feel that way, you probably need this episode more than you realize, baby.
True. Put it on
Um,
repeat.
so when you're trying to improve self accountability, instead of asking yourself, why can't I stay consistent? Ask yourself, what keeps getting in my way?
Mm.
What pattern do I keep repeating? What excuses do I keep allowing myself to tell myself? Where am I making things harder than they need to be? Am I committed to my goals or am I committed to my comfort? These are key questions here in understanding where your roadblock is. If it's mental, well, to be honest, it's always going to be mental, because even if it feels tangible, there's a belief or thought or habit you have about that is starting the root cause. We always talk about that, starting in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's never the actual thing, it's your beliefs about the thing. So spend some time reflecting. It is going to be painful. It is also going to be more beneficial and rewarding than you realize.
Mm-hmm. And if it feels like you're in the trenches and you're not making progress, I guarantee the more you work on it, the better you will get. One day, I decided I needed to be accountable in nutrition. So I was like, I'm going to keep a food journal. I'll tell you what I wrote down.
Yeah,
I would just write
please.
leftover pizza. Okay. Not what kind, not how many pieces, not when I ate it, not how I felt after, right? And I didn't even know at the time that was lacking. And of course I wasn't seeing progress because of that, right?
Yeah.
And then I reflected, okay, there has to be more to this, right? And each time I reflected, it got better and better and better. And now I can actually coach people through nutrition journaling and say, here's things to include. And you know how this list came together? Because it was things that I left out.
Yeah, truthfully though, man.
Right?
So
don't give up.
No, for sure. But with you getting more honest with yourself, is there something that you think actually helped you do that? Or was it just the realization of I've had enough of feeling like trash?
That, and at the end of the week, I would go back and I would look. And then I realized I can't measure if this week was better than last week. I have nothing to help me see that. And so that then reflected in, and that's how I started to change it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm tired of not feeling good. I had started because I was already in that place.
Yep.
But it got to the point where I actually can't see if there's change happening, right?
Totally. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it's hard, you guys. We get it. We have been there. We've done the work alone. We've done the work with other people. And even in the aspect of other people, having friends, having a community, a church community, even sometimes social media can be great for this, right? Public accountability, use it carefully, please. But sharing your goals with people who, keyword here, support growth. Yes. Right? Not people who secretly want you to do the same. It is. It can be. And you don't have to share everything with everyone, but there is something to be said for public accountability. And on a similar note, but also a different note, this is also where a coach can add a lot, because a coach is not going to magically create discipline for you. If you think that a coach is creating discipline for you, you are going to be disappointed. Your results are probably not.
Yeah, or having the title of coach is going to somehow give you accountability. It's not.
It's not. No, a coach really, they don't create discipline for you. A coach creates perspective. A coach creates structure. They help you with your awareness, problem solving. They help you be objective. Listen, one of my current girls really struggles with eating peanut butter. Been there, done that. I feel it. Believe me.
Got the t-shirt, hey?
Yes, literally, with the stains and everything. But she sent me a message, a midweek check-in the other day, and she was like, I'm really struggling to get my fats down. I think it's the 20 grams of peanut butter. Like, okay, well, why are you having the peanut butter? She's like, well, I really want it. And we wound up having this conversation about, again, choosing comfort over alignment, how you can have the peanut butter, but, something else needs to go. Or we can, choose to have peanut butter X amount of times per week. We went through a whole strategy and everything, but at one point she was like, sorry, I disagree. I had to be very objective with her, right? I'm not here to hold your hand and say, no problem, you do what you want. I had to give her the objectivity that she is actually paying me for, which is, one, you don't have to apologize to me. You have to apologize to yourself, your future self, when next week and you check in and you're like, oh, I actually didn't see the progress that I wanted, because you're not being accountable to yourself now. So again, like, this is what a coach helps you provide. When you're in your own head as well and everything feels overwhelming or complicated, a coach will help you see what's actually happening. Your goal with working with a coach is not dependence, right? It's helping you to eventually become accountable to yourself. So the results that you get, you will actually be able to sustain on your own long term.
It's true. Yeah, I actually just had a client recently, and we actually had a video call, and he says, well, I'm lacking motivation. I need you to hold me accountable. I said, you've given me nothing to hold you accountable with. You have not completed check-ins. You're not doing your photos. You're not responding to my messages. I cannot help you if those pieces of you taking the onus and showing up and then giving us the option to reflect and find something is not there. You're SOL. And I think that's the hard part about being a coach. That's the hard part with accountability, even for myself, is having information. Because I think that's what we're scared of, right? When we feel we need accountability, we often shy away from providing the information.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Because it is a mere reflection, and that's hard. But truly, you guys, one of the greatest skills you will ever develop is keeping promises to yourself. And when you keep promises to yourself, it's not because those promises have to be laid out and you followed through perfectly. It's simply because every time you follow through, you actually build trust. And confidence is not built from motivation, right? It is built from accumulated evidence over time. Evidence that when you say you're going to do something, you do it.
Checked, you do it. Done.
Yeah, that is the accountability, and that is where change lives. So I honestly want to leave you guys with one question to think about. When you have the answer to it, I would love it if you would message us this on Instagram. Both of our handles are below. Send a message to both of us, please, because we both want to be a part of this. If you want that public accountability, drop it in the comments section below. Share this, share our podcast, this clip of this episode, to your story on social media. Share the answer to this question. Tag us in it. We want to see it. But here's the question. What do you think is one promise you could keep to yourself that over the next 6 months would literally change your life because you kept it?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Right? Thank you. I thought about this one. I want you to think about this one. But one promise, what is one promise you could keep to yourself over the next 6 months that you think will change your life because you kept it?
And with that promise, I want you to think an action with it. Not a wish to, but something you can actionably do over the course of 6 months.
Yes. Share it with us. We might not be working with you one-on-one, but if we honestly, if you share it with us and you're like, I'm not sure if you think this is actionable, we will give you our 2 cents.
Yeah, because I'm not going to be working with anyone one-on-one for a while.
Yeah.
Well, I will, but he'll have my undivided attention all day, 24/7.
Client roster of 1.
Yeah. Nutrition is going to be very important for us.
Yes, absolutely, man. But that's what we got for you guys today. Accountability, right? And if you guys are at a point where you're like, you know what? I want to increase my accountability, but it's not happening alone. We would love to talk to you.
Yeah, let's
chat.
Absolutely.
To talk to you guys about helping you. We're not just going to say like with your fitness goals. We'd love to talk to you guys about helping you become more accountable so that the fitness goals you want to accomplish actually happen.
Yeah, because when I started, I had fitness goals.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back, that was so bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Truly, in how many things I've accomplished and how much I've changed physically, emotionally, mentally. Like, those things are what's taking me forward.
Yep.
I'm always going to have a fitness goal. That doesn't even factor into so many of these things now.
Yep, exactly. So, accountability, baby. You need it for any single aspect of your life. If this resonated with you guys, again, please share it. It helps a lot of people out. It helps us out. We really appreciate you guys for it. The link for our coaching is in the show notes below, as well as our Instagram handles. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Did I forget it?
Yeah.
That's
I think
it.
we're good. So we'll see you guys next time.
Have a beautiful week, family.
Bye.